Every single machine that ever took to the skies under the swastika. Fighters that ruled the heavens, bombers that shook entire cities, transports that carried armies, recon planes that saw everything, gliders that struck in silence, even helicopters that defied what people thought was possible. Over 80 war machines. Some became legends that pilots still talk about today. Some were so terrifying that enemy pilots refused to fly when they appeared. And some were so insane, so desperately dangerous, that even their own crews feared them more than the enemy. You're about to see them all. Let's start with the machines built to kill in the sky, fighters and interceptors. Messerschmitt Bf 109, the legendary backbone that carried the entire German air war on its wings. This fighter wasn't just a plane, it was an evolution that never stopped adapting. From the moment the first shots were fired in 1939 until the very last desperate days of 1945, pilots climbed into this cockpit on every major front across the globe. It saw frozen Russian winters, scorching North African deserts, and the burning skies over Britain. It evolved, it survived, killed. Focke-Wulf FW-190, Allied pilots had a nickname for this beast, and it wasn't a compliment. They called it the Butcher Bird. And for good reason. This fighter was built like a tank, packed with firepower, and flown by men who knew exactly how deadly it was. Many historians argue this was the absolute best radial engine fighter of the entire war. While the Messerschmitt relied on liquid cooling, the FW-190 offered something different, something brutal, raw, unstoppable performance that could rip through enemy formations like a chainsaw. Focke-Wulf Te-152, Kurt Tank's late-war masterpiece, a fighter designed for one specific purpose, hunting at high altitude where the air is thin and most planes struggle to breathe. Sleek, impossibly fast, and engineered to perfection. But here's the tragedy, only a handful of these beauties ever made it to operational units before the war collapsed. The pilots who flew it said it was the finest fighter they'd ever touched. The war just ended too soon. Messerschmitt Bf 110, the famous Zerstorer, which translates to destroyer. And in the early campaigns, it lived up to that name. This twin-engine Predator tore through Poland and France with brutal efficiency. But then came the Battle of Britain, and suddenly the destroyer became the destroyed. British Spitfires and Hurricanes shredded it in daylight. So the Germans adapted. They turned it into a night fighter, and in the darkness, it became a killer again. Messerschmitt Me 210, a disaster wrapped in aluminum. This aircraft was supposed to replace the Bf 110, but instead it became a nightmare. Severe aerodynamic instability made it dangerous to fly. Pilots hated it. Production was stopped cold, and engineers went back to the drawing board, completely reworking the airframe into what would become the successful Me 410. Messerschmitt Me 410, known as the Hornisse, or Hornet, this twin-engine machine finally solved all the stability disasters of its cursed predecessor. It served the Luftwaffe effectively, excelling as both a reconnaissance platform that could photograph enemy positions and a heavy fighter that could punch holes in bomber formations. Heinkel He-51, an older biplane fighter that already looked ancient by the time World War II kicked off. It saw action in the Spanish Civil War, where young German pilots tested their skills in real combat. By 1939, it was far too outdated for frontline fighting and was pushed into advanced training roles, teaching the next generation how to handle a fighter before they climbed into something far more deadly. Messerschmitt Me 262, the Schwalbe, or Swallow. This wasn't just another fighter. This was the world's first operational turbojet fighter, and it changed everything. Its speed made it nearly untouchable by Allied piston-engine planes. Imagine being a bomber crew, watching this sleek jet scream past you at speeds you didn't think were possible. This aircraft represented a true revolution in aviation, a glimpse into the future of air combat. Heinkel He-162, born from pure desperation, this was the Volksjäger program, which translates to People's Fighter. Germany was running out of everything: fuel, metal, experienced pilots, time. So they designed this jet to be built quickly and cheaply using non-strategic materials like wood. Then they handed it to inexperienced teenagers, boys barely old enough to shave, and told them to go fight. It was a suicide mission dressed up as patriotism. Messerschmitt Me 163, the infamous Comet, and there has never been anything like it before or since. This was the only rocket-powered fighter aircraft to ever see operational service in history. Its speed was absolutely incredible, faster than anything else in the sky. But here's the horrifying truth. The volatile fuel it used was so dangerous that pilots were more likely to be killed by their own aircraft exploding than by enemy fire. Climbing into this cockpit was like strapping yourself to a bomb with wings. Bachem B349 Natter, a radical, desperate, almost suicidal concept. This was a vertical takeoff rocket interceptor designed for one purpose: launch straight up, fire everything you have at an enemy bomber formation, then hopefully eject before you run out of fuel and fall out of the sky. It was intended as a last-ditch defense, a weapon for men who knew they probably weren't coming back. Heinkel He 219 UHU, the Owl, and many experts consider this the most effective dedicated night fighter the Luftwaffe ever had. It hunted in the darkness, using advanced radar to track British bombers over Germany. And here's something incredible. It was the first German aircraft ever fitted with ejection seats, giving pilots a real chance to survive if things went catastrophically wrong. Dornier Do 335 File, the extraordinary Arrow, a heavy fighter with one of the strangest and most brilliant engine configurations ever designed. It had a push-pull setup, one engine in the front pulling, one in the back pushing. This made it incredibly fast, and it still holds the record as the fastest piston engine aircraft ever built by Germany. It was an engineering masterpiece that arrived too late to change anything. Now let's move to the machines built to rain destruction from above, bombers and attack aircraft. Junker Ju-87 Stuka, the notorious dive bomber that became the sound of terror itself. That screaming, ear-splitting Jericho trumpet siren was deliberately designed to psychologically destroy anyone on the ground. During the Blitzkrieg campaigns, it was devastatingly effective, precision bombing bridges, tanks, and troop columns. But it had one fatal weakness: without air superiority, without friendly fighters protecting it, the Stuka became a slow, easy target. Allied fighters tore them apart. Junker Ju-88, the primary bomber version of what might be the most versatile aircraft in all of German service. Fast, adaptable, and capable of doing almost anything. Level bombing, dive bombing, torpedo attacks against ships, reconnaissance, night fighting, the Ju-88 did it all. If the Luftwaffe needed something done, they strapped it to a Ju-88 and sent it out. Junker Ju-188, the Rache, or Avenger. This was an intermediate development based on the Ju-88, but better. It featured a completely new glass nose design that gave the crew better visibility and higher performance engines that made it faster and more dangerous. Junker Ju-86, an earlier generation bomber from the 1930s that saw limited action in the early days of World War II. But here's where it gets interesting. Engineers adapted it into a specialized high-altitude reconnaissance aircraft, capable of flying so high that enemy fighters couldn't reach it, photographing enemy positions in safety. Dornier Do 17, the famous flying pencil, and you can see why the moment you look at it. That narrow, sleek fuselage gave it a distinct silhouette that was instantly recognizable. In the early war, it relied entirely on its speed for survival, racing in and out before enemy fighters could catch it. Dornier Do 215, originally developed as an export version of the Do 17, this aircraft was supposed to be sold to foreign air forces. But Germany kept it for themselves, absorbing it into the Luftwaffe for crucial reconnaissance tasks where speed and range mattered. Dornier Do 217, a powerful, larger bomber that saw extensive service in multiple roles. It was robust, capable of carrying heavy payloads, and it served as a bomber, a night fighter, and an anti-shipping aircraft that hunted Allied convoys in the Atlantic. Heinkel He 111, one of the most iconic shapes of the early German Air Force, instantly recognizable by that distinctive glazed greenhouse nose. It served reliably throughout the entire war, adapting from bomber to transport to even launching V-1 flying bombs at England. Heinkel He 177, Greif, the massive Griffin, Germany's attempt at a true long-range heavy bomber. But it was plagued, absolutely cursed, by severe engine reliability issues and notorious fires that killed crews without warning. Despite all these terrifying problems, it was the only true long-range German heavy bomber to ever see operational service. Arado AR-234 Blitz, the Lightning, and this aircraft was another world first. This was the first jet-powered bomber and reconnaissance aircraft ever built. It was so fast that intercepting it was virtually impossible. Allied pilots could see it, they could chase it, but they could never catch it. Henschel HS-123, a rugged biplane dive bomber that was already considered obsolete in 1939. Yet somehow, this tough little aircraft kept flying, kept fighting, because its incredible durability and maneuverability made it perfect for close air support. It served effectively on the Eastern Front until 1944, far longer than anyone expected. Henschel HS-129, the dedicated tank buster, nicknamed the can opener by the men who flew it. This twin-engine aircraft was heavily armored to survive ground fire, and it carried massive cannons, 30mm or even 75mm, designed specifically to punch through tank armor from above. Focke-Wulf FW-190F. This version of the FW-190 was optimized specifically for the Schlachtflieger ground attack role. Heavily armored to shrug off anti-aircraft fire, capable of carrying substantial bomb loads, and flown by pilots who specialized in low-altitude hell. Focke-Wulf FW-190G, a long-range fighter-bomber variant. To maximize fuel capacity for deep penetration missions into enemy territory, some of the heavy fighter weapons were stripped away. Range over firepower, because sometimes getting there and back was more important than how hard you could hit. Focke-Wulf FW-200 Condor. Winston Churchill himself called this aircraft the scourge of the Atlantic, and he wasn't exaggerating. This long-range patrol bomber hunted Allied convoys across the ocean, radioing their positions to German U-boats lurking below the surface. Together, they strangled Britain's supply lines. Heinkel He-115, a very reliable twin-engine seaplane that operated extensively in coastal areas. Mine-laying torpedo attacks, long-range reconnaissance over water, this aircraft did the dirty, dangerous work that kept Allied navies constantly on edge. Now we move to the unglamorous but absolutely essential machines, transport and utility aircraft. Junker Ju-52, the legendary Tantju, or anti-junkers. This tri-motor transport was the tireless workhorse of the Luftwaffe, the backbone of German military logistics. From the deserts of Crete to the frozen hell of Stalingrad, this aircraft carried troops, supplies, wounded soldiers, and hope. Without it, the German war machine couldn't have functioned. Junker Ju-290, a powerful, very long-range four-engine transport and maritime reconnaissance aircraft. Developed directly from the Ju-90 bomber concept, it could fly incredible distances, making it perfect for long-range patrols over the Atlantic. Junker Ju-160, a single-engine fast passenger aircraft from the 1930s. It saw minor service early in the war, mainly for high-speed liaison and staff transport, carrying officers and important messages quickly between bases. Messerschmitt Me 323 Gigant, the truly immense giant. This six-engine monster was capable of carrying enormous loads, including light tanks and thousands of pounds of supplies. But its size made it a nightmare, slow, ungainly, and extremely vulnerable to fighter attack. Allied pilots called it a flying target. Arado AR-232, known as the Tausendfüßler, or millipede, because of its innovative multi-wheel landing gear that looked like insect legs. This modern transport could operate from very rough, unprepared airstrips, landing where other aircraft would just crash. Junker Ju-90, a large four-engine passenger airliner converted for military transport duty. It was essentially the precursor to the Ju-290 maritime patrol aircraft, proving the design before it was militarized. Siebel Si-204, a popular light transport and multi-engine crew trainer. Used extensively for high-speed liaison duties across occupied Europe, ferrying officers and urgent documents between headquarters. Messerschmitt Bf-108 Typhoon, the Typhoon, an elegant low-wing monoplane used primarily for fast communication and liaison. Interestingly, This civilian design became the basis for the legendary Bf-109 fighter. Fieseler Fi-156 Storch, the famous Stork. And this aircraft was absolutely remarkable. It possessed exceptional short takeoff and landing capabilities. It could virtually hover in the wind and land almost anywhere. Muddy fields, forest clearings, mountain roads, the Storch didn't care. This made it invaluable for command liaison and rescuing downed pilots. Siebel FH-104, a modern twin-engine communications and liaison aircraft, generally used for transporting high-ranking staff officers quickly between headquarters when decisions needed to be made fast. Junker W-34, a rugged, successful single-engine utility transport, primarily used for training roles and carrying small priority cargo loads to remote locations. Junker W-33, an influential single-engine transport aircraft from the pre-World War II era, mostly used for training pilots who would later graduate to flying the larger Junkers transports. Heinkel He-46, an older parasol-wing reconnaissance biplane that was largely retired by 1940. It saw initial scouting service during the Polish campaign, but by then it was already outdated and vulnerable. Clem KL-31, one of a series of light civilian aircraft that were militarized for basic communications and liaison duties during the war. Simple, cheap, and functional. Clem KL-32, a highly successful, slightly larger three-seater version of the Clem family. Praised for its high performance for a light wooden aircraft, it served reliably throughout the war. Clem KL-36, a four-seat light touring aircraft originally designed for racing. In military service, it filled light communications and fast transport roles, carrying messages and personnel. Now let's talk about the eyes of the German war machine, reconnaissance and maritime aircraft. Focke-Wulf FW-189, the outstanding reconnaissance aircraft known as the Flying Eye. Its unique twin-boom design and glass-intensive cockpit gave the crew an exceptional field of view for battlefield observation. Soviet troops called it the Rama, the frame, because of its distinctive shape. Henschel HS-126, a high-wing monoplane initially used for tactical observation and short-range reconnaissance over battlefields. It was gradually replaced by the superior FW-189 as the war progressed. Arado AR-234B, the dedicated reconnaissance version of the jet bomber. Its incredible speed allowed it to photograph Allied preparations over Britain without any real risk of interception. By the time radar spotted it and fighters scrambled, it was already gone. Heinkel He-70 Blitz, the Lightning, originally famous as a fast civilian mail plane. In military service, it was adapted for reconnaissance and liaison, using its speed to survive. Dornier Do-17P, a specific version of the flying pencil optimized for long-range photo reconnaissance. Fitted with special cameras and extra fuel tanks, it could penetrate deep into enemy territory and return with valuable intelligence. Blohm and Voss BV-138, known unofficially as the Flying Shoe because of its unique, bizarre shape. This sturdy trimotor flying boat was vital for long-range maritime patrol and reconnaissance over the Atlantic, spotting convoys and reporting their positions. Blohm and Voss BV-222, Viking, the Colossal Viking, one of the largest flying boats built during World War II. It served almost exclusively as a long-range maritime transport, ferrying men and supplies across vast stretches of ocean. Dornier Do-24, a very effective trimotor flying boat renowned for its excellent seakeeping capability. Used primarily for search and rescue operations, pulling down pilots out of the water before they drowned or froze. Dornier Do-18, a sturdy flying boat design, one of the first aircraft employed for reconnaissance patrols over the North Sea and the Atlantic at the very start of the war. Dornier Do-26, a handsome four-engine flying boat with highly advanced retractable auxiliary flotation gear. Used sparingly for long-range transport and reconnaissance missions where range was critical. Heinkel He-59. This large twin-float biplane was initially used for reconnaissance. It gained notoriety when Germany disguised them as air-sea rescue aircraft, painted with red crosses, but actually used them for intelligence gathering, a war crime that caused international outrage. Heinkel He-60, an aging biplane seaplane utilized for shipboard reconnaissance, launched via catapult from warships. It was largely replaced by the far superior Arado AR-196. Arado AR-196, the standard catapult-launched seaplane aboard major German warships like the Bismarck. And it wasn't just for reconnaissance. This aircraft was extremely effective in combat, successfully engaging and destroying several Allied submarines and patrol vessels. Heinkel He-114, an obsolescent biplane floatplane that served briefly as a coastal reconnaissance aircraft before being rapidly phased out as better monoplanes became available. Now we enter the realm of silent assault gliders. DFS-230, the assault glider made famous by the legendary raid on the Belgian fortress of Eben-Emael. Gliders were silent, no engine noise to give them away. They descended like ghosts, landed on top of the fortress, and German paratroopers captured what was supposed to be an impregnable position in minutes. It was a crucial transport method for airborne forces in the early war. Gotha Go-242, a large twin-boom troop and cargo glider, heavily used for supply missions, particularly on the brutal Eastern Front before powered transports became more available. Messerschmitt Me 321 Gigant, the largest glider of the entire war, designed to carry heavy equipment or 200 fully armed soldiers. Its immense size created a huge problem. It required multiple tow aircraft to even get it into the air, which led directly to the development of the bizarre He-111Z, which was literally two He-111 bombers joined together. Let's shift to training. The aircraft that created the legendary Luftwaffe pilots. Kirby 131 Jungmann, the famous young man. This primary trainer biplane was exceptionally responsive and forgiving, helping establish the superb standards of early Luftwaffe pilot training that produced some of the highest-scoring aces in history. Kirby 133 Jungmeister, the incredible young master, an advanced aerobatic trainer that was legendary for its agility. It refined the skills of the Luftwaffe's most talented fighter pilots, teaching them maneuvers that would save their lives in combat. Heinkel He-72 Cadet. The Cadet, one of the essential primary trainers of the reborn German Air Force in the 1930s when Germany was secretly rebuilding military aviation in violation of the Versailles Treaty. Clem KL-35, a widely used basic and advanced trainer in the 1930s and early World War II. Its forgiving handling characteristics made it ideal for student pilots learning the fundamentals. Gotha Go-145, a basic, robust two-seater biplane trainer. Like many older trainers, when Germany started running out of proper combat aircraft, it saw late-war service as a night harassment aircraft, dropping small bombs on Soviet positions on the Eastern Front. Arado AR-66, a venerable biplane trainer that, despite its age, was surprisingly utilized as a light nuisance bomber on the Eastern Front, harassing Soviet ground troops in the darkness. Focke-Wulf FW-58 WWII, the Kite, a popular twin-engine aircraft used widely for crew training, light transport, and air ambulance roles. Its versatility made it a valuable utility machine. Siebel Si-202, a light civilian two-seater aircraft pressed into service for initial flight screening and basic training roles during the war when every aircraft was needed. And finally, we have the most experimental, most futuristic machines, helicopters and autogyros. Fokker-Achilles FA-223 Drach, the Dragon, a pioneering twin-rotor transport helicopter. Built in very small numbers, it demonstrated impressive lifting capability and proved that rotary-wing aircraft had a future. Flettner FL-282 Colibri, the Hummingbird, a groundbreaking reconnaissance helicopter utilizing the Flettner synchronized intermeshing rotor system. It was actually deployed on German warships for observation, giving them eyes beyond the horizon. Fokker-Achilles FA-330 Baxtels, the Wagtail, and this design was highly unusual, almost insane. It was a small, collapsible rotary wing kite deployed by U-boats to provide much-needed aerial observation while surfaced far out in the Atlantic. A crew member would literally be tethered to this thing, spinning in the wind above the submarine, watching for Allied ships. If the U-boat had to crash dive, he'd better hope they could winch him down fast. So tell us, which of these aircraft do you think was the most dangerous, the most effective, or the most insane? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you made it this far, hit that subscribe button because we've got so much more history to uncover together.